Here it's been the ground game.
Yeah, and they see a weakness in the UCLA defense. They're giving up over 200 yards a game. So clearly there's a correlation between USC winning, but also teams having success versus this UCLA defense running the football.
2nd and 6. Daniels to throw for the first time across his body, and it's scraped off of the deck by his old high school teammate Amon-Ra St. Brown. A bit of improvisation for Daniels to get 20 and a Trojan first down.
When JT Daniels gets pressure, he finds the guy he feels most comfortable with, and that's his former high school teammate, as you noted, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So much promise as a true freshman, his ability to separate and get open, and he knows exactly where JT is going to be looking when things break down.
Vavai Malapaya into the game, running back for the first time, swinging out to open up a window down the seam for Petit, who couldn't bring it in. He was open, but has dealt with some drops this year, adds another there. And it'll be 2nd down and 10 here in the 3rd game since Clay Helton took over the play calling duties from T. Martin.
And look, that's what he felt like got him this job. You talked about this game and this win helping him get the head coaching job, is also his play calling ability. With some of the pressure on him and the coaching staff right now, why not take it over?
Here's a flag.
False start. Offense number 54. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
And that's Jalen McKenzie, who's making his 2nd start. Chuma Adoga's 2nd week in a row out with an injury.
The son of general manager for the Oakland Raiders, Reggie McKenzie, who's here today, watching his son. But you look at some of the issues USC has had this year, it's been penalties. And they're getting as many as anyone right now. There's only 14 teams in FBS that have accumulated more penalties than USC.
2nd down and 15. Vavai Malapaya with his first carry. Bounces off initial contact and gets to midfield. Dealing with a sprained ankle, both Malapaya and Ware were injured in last week's loss against Cal. Limited in practice this week, but a good sign for Trojans fans. Both guys getting carries here on the opening drive.
And clearly they want to set the tone in running the football, not putting too much pressure on JT Daniels' shoulders. See if UCLA brings pressure. They have the tendency to throughout the course of the year.
Showing it from the far side on 3rd and 10. They rush only 4. Daniels to the sideline. That's Pittman for a first down. Michael Pittman, who was really coming on before that shoulder injury, has 26 yards, and they convert on 3rd and long.
They end up bringing one of the backers to try to keep the running back in protection, but good job by the USC offensive line. And really it's Pittman going up and making a play on the football. Quentin Lake had an opportunity, just couldn't quite get there in time and find the football. But Michael Pittman, his last 6 games has been phenomenal. Really emerged and been the player that they've been hoping he would become.
Better than 20 yards per reception this year. He set up a first down at the 24-yard line, and here comes Aka Cedric Ware. Getting 4. Aka Cedric Ware, 205 yards at Oregon State a couple of weeks ago. Followed that up with 103 yards in the loss against Cal. For a guy who's dealt with injuries for much of the season, it was a sore knee early, and then the shoulder that he injured against Cal last Saturday.
And he gets the bulk of his carries, over 60% on first down. That's where they like to get things started off on the right step.
2nd and 6. Daniels back to the air. He gets drilled and sacked back at the 30. Out of the secondary came Lokani Toyaloa. Back-to-back weeks with a sack for the junior from Rialto, California.
It's just a mixture of looks, and you're going to see him. He's going to find his way to JT Daniels, and this is just a rush the entire way. It's obviously a blown protection by USC, and if I had to guess, I'd say Aka Cedric Ware. There's number 28 looking for work. There's no one there. Typically, they're responsible for the linebacker at the next level.
That was a problem last week for USC. They gave up 4 sacks against Cal.
When typically you see Malapaya in there because he's a little bit better in pass protection for USC as opposed to Ware.
3rd down 14. They've already converted 3rd and long once on this drive. Get it off just in time. They pick up the pressure and take a shot over Amon-Ra St. Brown's head. And it's 4th down. This will be a long field goal attempt here. But Clay Helton will send out Michael Brown to attempt it.
Yeah, one-on-one coverage. We saw earlier in this drive, JT Daniels scrambling and finding St. Brown really to put them this portion of the field in position. They're going to have the opportunity to kick a field goal, unless maybe it's a fake. We saw that last week from USC. I don't think they do it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that was on the opening drive as well. Brown, a guy that took over for Chase McGrath, who injured his knee against Texas. And Brown's been good. Here from 46. He matches his season long. And the Trojans cash in here on the opening drive. So Chip Kelly's offense, 6-yard field goal, makes it 3-0. And now Darnay Holmes goes back to return this kickoff. From the walk-on, Alex Stadhouse. And the Bruins will start their first drive from the 25-yard line. Wilton Spate, graduate transfer from Michigan, started the opener like you talked about off of the top, but then injured his back in the first half. He was cleared to return in late September, but didn't get another opportunity until Dorian Thompson-Robinson started dealing with a shoulder injury, and back and forth since.
And now he gets an opportunity coming off, his best performance of the season, but taking on a USC defense coming off its best performance of the year last week versus Cal.
We mentioned Joshua Kelly a moment ago, 27 in blue, running back for the Bruins. He takes the fake on the first play, which is a tunnel screen to Theo Howard for a short gain. Spade, you mentioned the game last week at Arizona State, and they've now ruled this incomplete, by the way, so it's going to be 2nd and 10. That was his third start. He went 26 of 35, 335 yards, really efficient performance in what was a loss. But Chip Kelly's team continues to show improvement, especially offensively.
I think what impresses you most about him is his experience. Had a great year in 2016, not so much in 2017. One of the reasons why he became a grad transfer, but he handles pressure well. Has the highest completion percentage versus pressure in the Pac-12.
On 2nd down and 10, they run the same play. Theo Howard catches this one, then absorbs the blow from Marvell Tell.
Been a lot of moving pieces in this secondary for USC this year due to some departures, injuries. But Marvell Tell's been one of the constants, and he's been one of the guys to really hold down the back end, probably the portion of the team that's played its best this season.
Opening UCLA drive, 3rd down and 8. Pressure coming. And getting there, Spade eludes it, heaves it into one-on-one. Up to get it is Wilson. Caleb Wilson, the former USC walk-on, climbs the ladder for a 28-yard gain.
Spade's 6'6", 230 pounds, and he's going to use all that size to find a way of getting away from Jonathan Lockett, the nickelback blitzing off the edge. And the star on the outside in the passing game has been Caleb Wilson. Their tight end leads the country for tight end in receiving yards and makes a phenomenal play there.
Went to USC to open his career. Wanted to play for his dad, Chris, who was the D-line coach at USC. But Chris was fired after his redshirt season. So Caleb transferred to UCLA. And now here is Joshua Kelly, who we've talked about a couple of times. Became the starter week 4, and a guy that started his career at UC Davis, of all places, has become one of the stars on this UCLA offense.
What a pleasure to talk to. 6 straight games now with a rushing touchdown. No one's done that at UCLA since Maurice Jones-Drew. And the difference, too, you see with this Chip Kelly offense right now, so many more tight ends on the field. He said he did it some at Oregon, but not as much as he's doing it this year at UCLA.
That's Theo Howard in motion. One of the blockers for Kelly makes the cut, gets the first down.
The thing that impresses you the most about Joshua Kelly is he's elusive. He's not the fastest guy, but he finds a way of always falling forward. And you talk to Chip Kelly, said, I know when I hand the football off to him, if it's 1st and 10, I'm not going to be in 2nd and 14. I might be in 2nd and 9, but he's always falling forward.
Fake it to him on 1st down. Spate retreating, will toss it outside, and they will lose a bunch as Jonathan Lockett drops Christian Pabico for a loss. This USC defense was not at fault in that loss last week. 207 yards they limited Cal to, the fewest that USC had allowed in a game in 4 seasons.
It was an impressive performance, and we talked about some of the injuries they've dealt with this year in the secondary, also up front. They're playing without Porter Gustin, who's arguably their best player on defense, and they've had a couple guys fill in.
2nd and 15. Back to the ground with Kelly. Joshua Kelly stopped by a Jane Harris, and it'll be 3rd and long.
So Chip Kelly, known for the spread formation, up-tempo offense, not quite as fast anymore. We're not seeing as many wide receivers on the field. We will in this particular down on 3rd down, but using a lot more tight ends. And part of that's the strength of UCLA. That's one of the reasons why he's doing it, but also because of the matchup. And he feels like it's easier to run the football. Keep an eye, though, on Caleb Wilson, their tight end. He's the guy they target the most on 3rd down.
He's in there to block on 3rd and 11. Here's an end zone shot. Over the top. Perfectly thrown. Touchdown, UCLA. It's Theo Howard from 33 yards.
Let's confirm he caught this, but what a ball by Wilton Speight. There's no doubt about it. He's got possession and control as he goes to the ground. What a throw, what a play, and what a message by this UCLA. Saturday, obviously teammates with JT Daniels as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I said, was there any trash talk during the week? He said, yeah, there's been a little bit back and forth, but he said, I've tried to kind of just focus on my job. And I think one of the things that we're going to see throughout the course of this game, with as aggressive as UCLA plays defensively, especially with their safeties, USC is going to try to take some shots downfield. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman, Tyler Vaughns, all those guys I think are going to get some opportunities in one-on-one coverage.
And USC looks at that as one of their strengths regardless of the defense that they're facing. They start this drive from the 25-yard line with a play-action pass, and in the quick game there is Pittman for his 2nd grab.
When you look at this UCLA secondary, you know, really you've got guys like a Darius Pickett, Quentin Lake, who I just mentioned, and those are really the leaders of this defense. I mean, they've been the backbone of UCLA's defense as far as getting guys lined up, not allowing as many big plays. There's been a number of those this year. They put a lot of faith and trust in those guys to get everyone lined up.
Yeah, defense that has 4 freshman starters on it. They bring pressure here on 2nd down. Here's one of those shots. It's brought in against double coverage by Josh Follow. Only his 10th catch of the season. It goes for 38.
And Josh Follow has gotten more involved in this offense as the year has progressed. And clearly they like the matchup on the safeties and on the linebackers of UCLA. It's the 2nd time now they've been targeting their tight ends up the seams.
First down from the 32. Back to the air, back to the short side. 2nd time we've seen that on 1st down. It's Pittman bumped out by Metters. We check in with Greg Wolf for a game break.
Joe, thanks. Number 10 Ohio State. They host Michigan next weekend on Fox in overtime. Maryland going for the upset. 2-point conversion. Final play of the game. Terrell Pigram incomplete. And the Buckeyes and Urban Meyer survive. 52-51 in overtime. Joe, Brady, back to you.
Wow.
No one saw that coming. Makes for a big one next week, though.
2nd down and a yard. Daniels on the roll. Has an open man in the end zone and overshoots him. Eric Kromenhoek. Darnay Holmes peeled off at the last moment, and it's 3rd and 1.
And this is just the inexperience of JT Daniels, a true freshman. Hasn't played a ton of football. Watch number 84. As he rolls out, he is wide open. And it's right now, get him the football. And he puts this in a spot where really Kromenhoek can't get to. As JT Daniels progresses through his career, he'll kind of figure out some of those throws that you have to make that aren't exactly how you draw them up.
3rd down and a long one for the Trojans. Play action. Daniels rolling again. Another end zone shot off of Vaughn's hands. 4th down. Holmes with the defense again.
And Holmes saving a touchdown. Standing at only 5'10", working on Tyler Vaughns, who's 6'2". This is a shot the entire way. JT Daniels, when he came around the boot, was looking for Vaughn's. Well-placed football. Vaughn's just has to make this catch. It's been part of the issue with the USC offense is they're not quite in the red zone, but this area of the field, they've really struggled this year to find ways of making those plays for touchdowns.
Another chance for Michael Brown. This one from...
One of the issues that UCLA gives a lot of defense is the difference in personnel. I mean, every single play, you almost get the sense that you've got a different personnel grouping, a different formation to line up to. Not so much of the tempo that we're accustomed to seeing from Chip Kelly. It's still a little bit there, but they mixed it in.
Back-to-back runs for Joshua Kelly, trying to bounce to the outside. He's got a first down across the 35.
We've seen that play now 4 times in today's game, and part of the reason why they keep running it is it's the misdirection. USC has some fast athletes on their defense, and really they're trying to get them to suck up downhill, and then they're allowing Joshua Kelly to bounce to the outside.
Here's one of the issues last week for UCLA. They had 4 false start penalties.
False start. Offense number 73, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And included 2 on the final drive for the Bruins. And talking about Joshua Kelly, for more on him, down to Bruce.
Joe, Joshua Kelly's actually been probably the biggest bright spot for UCLA this season, as we see him breaking off a big run here.
He hits the seam hard and takes off. Inside the 20, inside the 10. First down and goal for UCLA. We'll go back to Bruce in just a few.
And it's really the gap scheme. Watch the Polars get out in front, in particular Boss Tagaloa, the converted defensive lineman to center. He does just enough on Isaiah Langley to help create the path for Kelly to get downfield.
Give him a break. Bring Martell Irby in. His first carry. Doesn't go for much. Got stopped by John Houston.
That's a staple of their offense. As they come back, run the same exact play. What's the point of getting away from a play like that if USC hasn't proven they can stop it?
That was a quick rest. 70-yard sprint. Get a drink of water. Get at it again.
They're prepared for this. You know, Chip Kelly training and the schedule throughout the course of the week. These guys claim to be the most rested team on game day as anyone.
Back into the 3 tight end package. The lone receiver, Theo Howard, has the lone touchdown in this game. It's Wilton Spate making a cut inside the 5, and it's 3rd and goal as Cameron Smith brings him down.
Big man. You can't change direction. Once you get going, you just got to keep going in that direction if you're Wilton Spate there.
And people think, you know, you've got to be this great athlete to play in Chip Kelly's system. I mean, Nick Foles had a career year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he would keep the ball from time to time in the zone read scheme. So you can do it. You know, the biggest thing for Spade is when you're not that fast of a guy, and trust me, I know from experience, you can't stop your feet. You just got to keep going with your momentum.
Yeah. 3rd down and goal. Converted both 3rd downs so far. Spate looks to throw, scans the field. He'll stick in one direction here, straight into the end zone for the UCLA touchdown.
And what a play by Wilton Spate. His first rushing touchdown of the season has really utilized movement throughout the course of the game so far. A couple of tough throws and movement in the pocket, and now utilizing his legs on a zone read and a quarterback scramble for a touchdown.
2 drives and 2 touchdowns for UCLA. The key play on that drive, a 61-yard run from Joshua Kelly. And then it's Wilton Spate in for the score.
And as he drops back, he wanted to work to the left. They had Christian Pabico coming open, but because of a little bit of pressure, didn't want to wait any longer. He ends up finding an open lane to the end zone. Again, first rushing touchdown of the season, so you better believe USC is preparing for a guy who's just typically a pocket passer, who's not going to take off and do this. Well done.
He's gotten in much better shape. He said the big man, not close to as big as he was.
Well, he's 6'6". I mean, he looks short. I'm about 6'4". So.
Well, he was like 265 playing in the Orange Bowl 2 years ago at Michigan. He's down around 235 now.
And part of that had to do with the back injury. He said he wanted to lose some weight. It wasn't just about coming to UCLA, but dealing with a back injury and wanted to shed some of that off, be a little lighter, be in a little better shape. And he said it's really helped him with his throwing motion. He's lighter, but he feels like he's throwing the football as good as ever. Working down in Newport, the guys at 3D QB, Adam Dado, they're well known throughout the quarterback industry.
So a touchback. Trojans will begin at the 25 after this game break with Greg Wolf.
All right, Joe, thanks. USC, they host number 3 Notre Dame next week. Irish facing 12th ranked Syracuse at Yankee Stadium. Brady can breathe easy for right now. Jafar Armstrong, 9-yard touchdown. The Irish lead the Orange 20-0 at the half. Joe, Brady, back to you.
Wow. What are you talking about, Greg? I've been breathing easy the whole season, man.
You had no concerns going into that one?
They're rolling right now. And look, Syracuse can put up a challenge. Eric Dungy's a good player. Their quarterback, dual threat guy, but I think they might be a little bit overrated at times. They played the most difficult schedule.
Well, the Trojans down 2 scores now. Cedric Ware on first down. That's stopped by Chris Barnes.
Talked about not playing the most difficult schedule in regards to Syracuse. You know, UCLA, you look at the record at 2-8, but they've played as difficult schedule as anyone, like 3rd toughest in the country.
Yeah, look at the non-conference games. Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Fresno State. Combined record of those 3 non-conference opponents for UCLA is 26-4.
You take into account, you know, you lose your starting quarterback Wilton Spate to begin the season. You're thrust into a true freshman. That doesn't make it any easier.
Daniels to throw. Well protected. Lofting one. That is it. It's dropped by Gates. There is a flag down.
Prior to the pass, holding on an eligible receiver. Defense number 18, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So don't beat yourself up too much. Elijah wouldn't have counted anyways.
Yeah, look, and this is the matchup really they've been looking at all game long, this side of the field. Whoever's covering Michael Pittman, and you can see clearly Gates grabbing Pittman at the top of his route. Not going to be able to get away with that in the open field playing on an island. But both Elijah Gates and Nate Metters, who have been working in at that boundary cornerback spot going against Michael Pittman, they're going to have the work cut out for them today.
On the end around, here comes Pittman. UCLA has this one hemmed in, but Pittman cuts it upfield and is able to get 8 yards. Like that was headed nowhere. Instead, 2nd and short. Key block coming from Josh Follow on that play.
Antonio Maffei, you can see the big man, their nose tackle number 56. Every bit of what, 360, 70 pounds?
Listed 380.
That's why you don't see too many teams try to run directly up the middle versus him. I mean, he just clogs everything up.
Not pretty.
False start. Offense number 73. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It's on Austin Jackson.
The sophomore out of Phoenix, Arizona. You know, if you're a USC fan, I know they didn't meet expectations this year of what, you know, people were hoping for to win the Pac-12 South and go on for another Pac-12 title or opportunity. But you look at Austin Jackson, a mistake there, but he's only a sophomore. And you go on down the line, you look at Voorhees, guys like Jalen McKenzie, Vera Tucker will mix in. This is a young offensive line that I think will be better next year.
2nd down and 6 to the sideline. That's Pittman. Gates is right there. It'll be 3rd and short.
I thought when he possessed this football, he was far enough downfield for the first down. Take a look. They've been hammering away at this out route. If you're going to play with that much cushion, it's stealing down there. I think it's one of the things you got to be impressed by with JT Daniels. It's not easy to throw across the field on time and in rhythm. But because of his experience at Mater Dei, a very similar offense, I think he's been able to translate easily into USC.
Ducks under center and tried to sneak it, ran into a blue wall and lost a yard.
I don't like it. You know, I know you window dress it, you shift, you get UCLA to have to communicate and deal with everything, and you feel like you've got that A-gap right there open. But JT Daniels is negative rushing on the season. I mean, 122 yards negative rushing because of the sacks and his issues. He's not the most athletic quarterback. He's athletic enough, but that's not the strength of your offense.
It's a fake, and they pick it up. Boy, Clay Helton saying, you know what, we ran a fake field goal last week. It didn't work. I got crushed for it. I don't care. It's Eric Kromenhoek picking up a first down and a fake punt.
And take a look. He's going to be the personal protector. And because basically they've got everyone up, they're able to create a lane for him. With all the chaos that ensued, the last play on the quarterback sneak, the big stop, you're really thinking, all right, maybe they're upset about this. They're going to try to punt. Drive continues.
Kromenhoek, son of a pair of UCLA grads, picks up the first down and sets up this shot. St. Brown, touchdown Trojans, promptly taking advantage of the fourth down gamble.
We talked about it in the open. These are the shots downfield where JT Daniels and the wide receivers for USC really excel, and that's just Amon-Ra St. Brown working on Quentin Lake. We talked about the aggressive nature in which UCLA plays. This is just where you get a safety exposed, and I know Lake and St. Brown played with each other in high school, but that's just an unfair matchup. Perfectly thrown football to a guy that Daniels is very familiar with.
Quentin Lake said Amon-Ra St. Brown likes to talk a lot. I'm sure he had a few words for his old high school teammate, burning him deep for the touchdown there. For the kickoff, another game break, Greg Wolf.
Joe, thanks. Number 9, West Virginia facing an Oklahoma State team that came within a 2-point conversion of knocking Oklahoma out of the college football playoff last week. Will Greer hits Gary Jennings Jr. 13-yard score. 32nd touchdown pass of the season for Greer. Mountaineers lead 14-7. Second quarter. Back to you.
Now, barring something unforeseen, West Virginia will be in the Big 12 championship. Unforeseen like a loss today.
Right. I mean, that's really the only thing that would prevent them to stay out of it, because even if they lost next week to Oklahoma, they own the tiebreaker for the number 2 spot in the Big 12 over Texas, who they beat earlier this year. So they're probably, if they win today, going to end up in that game. But Will Greer, what a season he's having. And as he looks on to the future, he's climbing up everyone's draft boards with the way he's played, in particular in clutch moments like we saw versus Texas.
And in a year where the quarterback class is not exactly deep or even top heavy, picked a good year to have a standout season. So Trojan team has lost 3 of 4, worst record at this point since 2001. Need to win today or against Notre Dame next week to become bowl eligible. UCLA have been lost 3 straight after the back-to-back wins. Trying to gather some momentum near the end of Chip Kelly's first season. And they'll start this drive at the 25-yard line. Bruce, you were trying to talk about Joshua Kelly, and he so rudely ran for 61 yards while you're trying to do it. We're going to give you another opportunity to
Yeah, he was showing why he is one of the biggest bright spots that UCLA has had this season. Even though he had no offers out of high school other than FCS UC Davis, and he wasn't even a star there. UCLA captain Adarius Pickett told me, he said, after last year of going against that guy every day in the scout team, he told Bruins running back coach Deshaun Foster, this guy's going to be your starter. He's physical, makes great cuts, is really instinctive. Plus Chip Kelly loves his personality. He is positive and upbeat every day.
He's got 5 yards here on first down, and on the surface it's like, oh, wait a minute, was this guy a stud? Was he just tearing up FCS and had to like upgrade the challenge? Well, he ran for about 1,000 yards over 2 seasons, so it wasn't like he was knocking the FBS door down. As Kerr will bring this quarter to a close, but the coaching staff was fired at UC Davis, and he wanted the challenge of going. They're down in 7 for UCLA opening the second quarter. Third down was the story in that first quarter. They converted all 3. This time Spate is sacked. Jordan Iosefa, the first man there, and then several Trojans rallied to make it 4th down.
Well, Spate was trying to hold on as long as he could, but check out right here the stack formation. Caleb Wilson's releasing downfield, gets tripped up. That was the direction that Spate was looking, and unfortunately the pass rush got to him before he could get the football out of his hand. Not the worst thing, though. I think the biggest thing about Wilton Spate with his experience playing before is not forcing a throw or making a mistake.
It's one of the best punters in the country here, and it gets blocked. Isaiah Langley with the block. And then Devin Williams with the touchdown.
And Langley comes right around the protector there. You're going to see him right there. Watch as they run an overload pressure and clearly find the way to the football. I mean, this is poor protection. There's no other way to put it.
But Pete Carroll hatched a little plan to send his team to the Rose Bowl wearing their home uniforms. They were charged with a timeout, but Rick Neuheisel was in on the whole thing, and so he returned the favor, burning one of his timeouts of his own, and it was back to an every year thing. Thought about bringing it out. Instead, Holmes will take it for a touchback. So far, USC dominating special teams in this game.
And that's really been the fake punt after not getting the quarterback sneak on 3rd and 1. Surprises UCLA. That drive results in a touchdown pass to St. Brown. And then the block punt by Isaiah Langley, and Devin Williams taking care of the rest. This USC team looking for a spark. They found it from their special teams unit. Now it's up to Wilton Speight and UCLA to respond. Something that Chip Kelly talked about, saying that's what they appreciate about Wilton Speight. He's so experienced, shows so much poise and calmness when things aren't going well.
Starting the drive from the 25-yard line. Joshua Kelly already close to 100 yards today, has a short gain. Speight started his career at Michigan. He was all Big Ten as a sophomore in 2016, then suffered the bad back injury, season-ending back injury week 4 at Purdue last year. And now here he is for his graduate season. In and out of the starting lineup, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the true freshman, had plenty of opportunity as well. But then his own shoulder injury reopened the door for Speight, and he's taken advantage the last couple weeks. Here on 2nd and 6, he hands it off again with a gaping hole, and Joshua Kelly takes it near midfield. 20 more yards for Kelly, who's at 116 already.
Take a look right here. Iman Marshall moves over this portion of the field with the motion, and that means UCLA has the numbers. So there'll be a man for a man on that side as they run the gap scheme, and there's no one over on that side of the field.
Speaking of Dorian Thompson-Robinson, into the game at quarterback, and he runs. Got a yard.
Both quarterbacks were in. Wilton Speight that time played running back, and don't be surprised if we don't see that again. Watching practice this week, they've got a number of plays off of that package. It's hard to not play Dorian Thompson-Robinson because how dynamic he is in the running game.
Yeah, let me just be honest. I looked there and saw that it was Thompson-Robinson, but then I'm thinking, who's 3 at running back? They have a running back that wears 3. Kelly into the short side, and up to meet him was Iman Marshall. 3rd and long. Kelly, by the way, with that last run, has moved over 1,000 yards for the season. For a guy who was buried on the depth chart over the first few weeks. 27 yards over the first 3 games. So he's packed pretty much all of that into the last 7+.
He's playing behind an offensive line that has a lot of moving parts. The center to the right tackle. All those guys, first-year starters, the left side, started on the right side last year. Now they've had to deal with the position change to the left side.
3rd down and 9. Trojans bringing heat. Speight steps into the pressure. That is incomplete. There was some contact, but that ball was uncatchable. Cameron Smith applying the heat. 4th down.
That's a staple of defensive coordinator Clancy Pendergast. You get to 3rd down and long, he's going to bring some pressure. Take a look at Cam Smith. It's a little bit of a just delayed blitz, and the offensive line can't get off of their block to help out. Wilton Speight throughout the course of the game has been under duress often. Couldn't have felt good.
Flintoff had his first one blocked. This time Trojans will set up the return. Fair catch signal for by Tyler Vaughn's.
We're on a vacation.
Okay.
Try windsurfing or kite surfing. That's even tougher.
That's a whole other thing. Trojans from the 10. Start the drive with a play action pass. Daniels has one-on-one with Pittman. Metters with the defense and the interception. So the senior in one-on-one coverage with a much bigger Pittman comes up with his 2nd pick of the season and gets it right back to the Bruins.
And this is really what we talked about all game long, the one-on-one matchups on the outside. This is where USC feels like they have an advantage, but in this case, look how Metters is looking back tracking the football the entire time. The senior out of San Bernardino, California, comes up with his second interception of the season, but this is just an ill-advised decision. Just because you call the shot play doesn't mean you have to take it. You can always come and check it down or just throw the football away and live to play another down.
So UCLA's got it at its own 45-yard line. They start the drive with a slant, and Caleb Wilson has got a couple of catches already after 11 catches for a season-best 164 at Arizona State last week.
Well, he's been phenomenal. He leads the country in receiving yards and second in receptions, but really wants to be a quarterback.
And was in high school. Crossing the field here is Christian Pabico. Yeah, Wilson, high school quarterback, wasn't a tight end until the last 4 games of his high school career when Khalil Tate took over the starting job at quarterback. And when Wilson decided to transfer from USC to UCLA, his other option was to transfer to Old Dominion to play quarterback.
Said looking back, he kind of realized that maybe there wasn't as much hope for him in his quarterbacking career. Nonetheless, he's turned into a phenomenal tight end.
First down and 10, straight downhill with Kelly. Slips a couple of tackles and gets 6.
Almost 500 yards after contact this season for Joshua Kelly. One of the things that I don't know that gets appreciated enough about him. He's just a tough runner. You had the chance to sit down with him. I mean, his smile lights up a room. He's got quite the personality. Look at all the shifts and motions and things that Chip Kelly does. And that forces USC, all 11 defenders now have to communicate.
We've seen this motion from Theo Howard several times. And they hand it off, and Kelly hits the hole hard for a first down.
When there's a couple reasons for the motion, a lot of times when you face a team that plays a lot of man-to-man, someone's responsible for him, so he's going to track him across the field, and that's where at some point there'll be a bootleg or a pass off of it or even a jet sweep.
Inside the 30-yard line, Kelly again, couple of blockers in front. Cam Smith wrestles him down after a gain of 3. Smith, a senior from Roseville, California, who's a 4-year starter and has an opportunity with a win today to go 4-0 against UCLA in his career.
He's been nagged by a hamstring injury. It started in training camp, has leaked on into the season, had to miss a few games, but he's back now. He's feeling 100%. He's dropped a bunch of weight. He's moving better this year than he ever has before.
Second down and 6. Spate retreating, has a man come free. Theo Howard sets up first and goal. Iman Marshall was beaten in coverage, and they take advantage with a 24-yard gain.
We'll take a look. They're just working right here on the bottom. And as Theo Howard runs, he's not open. Really, this is just him creating. And Wilton Spate knows to look for Howard when he's under duress. It's Wilson and Howard in the passing game, and he just throws up and takes a shot. Not by design, but creative, and it worked.
First and goal. Here's Kelly, right side. Crunched by Marshall. He lost a couple of yards.
And that's one of the things you have to appreciate about Iman Marshall. A senior who plays cornerback, but he'll stick his nose in the run game. He's not afraid to try to come up and make a tackle or take on a pulling offensive lineman. Obviously trying to atone for a big-time mistake last week that unfortunately led to the loss versus Cal.
Unsportsmanlike conduct with just a few minutes left that extended the drive where Cal would eventually put it away. Spate wanted to swing it out. Now with the coverage just has to throw it out of bounds. Marshall was waiting for Howard, and it's 3rd and goal. There is a flag down though, right in the middle of the end zone.
And this was just a one-man route. You know, Theo Howard was the only person they were really targeting on that. Probably a better call versus man-to-man coverage instead of zone, which USC was playing.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense number 91. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down. That is number 91's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
That is on Brandon Peely, and Clay Helton understandably beside himself. First down and goal.
And a second one will get him ejected. And in a rivalry game, we're still in the first half. lot of these games tend to get a little chippy as things carry forward.
Howard in motion, takes the fake. Spate trying to get his second rushing score of the day. He is down to the 1, getting a little bit greedy, the big fella. Jay Tufele with the tackle. Second down.
Let's go back and take a look. Take a look at the top portion of the screen right here. There's Peely, and he's going to throw an absolute punch.
How did he not get thrown out of the game?
It's surprising that he didn't for that.
Same action on 2nd and goal. This time he hands it off to Kelly. UCLA quickly takes advantage of the unsportsmanlike conduct, and back and forth we go.
We've seen UCLA now on a number of occasions run to the short side. Watch as they flash the tight end to the strong side and come right back around with Joshua Kelly working towards tight ends, who continue to improve as the year has gone on in their run blocking, in particular Caleb Wilson.
How about Joshua Kelly's 7th consecutive game with a rushing touchdown? That's the longest streak in more than 2 decades. Got to go back to Skip Hicks.
Couldn't happen to a better kid, too.
I know.
What a story.
Low snap. Nice job to pick that thing up by Matt Lynch and put it down for getting their fair share. And it's a tight one. 21-17. We get another touchback. Time for a great game break. We go back to the studio.
Joe, thank you. Number 4, Michigan. They've won 22 straight against Indiana, but 2 of the last 3 years, this game has gone to overtime. Freshman Stevie Scott, 13-yard score. Hoosiers lead the Wolverines 7-6 second quarter. This game over on FS1. Joe, Braden, back to you.
You wonder if you're getting kind of the same effect with Ohio State, looking ahead to next week.
Look, Indiana's a good football team. Tom Allen's done a tremendous job there. If they're not playing in the East, if they're in the West, who knows how they would look.
Cedric Ware on 1st down.
Back to the ground game, USC goes. And I think when you, fortunately, last series, take a shot, JT Daniels makes a poor decision, and UCLA capitalizes on it. Go back to what you can hang your hat on. And in the wins this year for USC, it's been that running game.
I mentioned it early on, 193 yards per game on the ground in the wins, 85 per game in the losses. They only have 29 so far today. Daniels checks it down like a Cedric Ware trying to make a man miss in space. He does to make it 3rd and short. Now Tito Obonya flew back from his defensive end spot to drop him.
Talking to defensive coordinator Jerry Azanero for UCLA, he said, look, biggest thing for us, just tackling out in space. We know what USC is going to try to do. We know they're going to try to get it to their skill players. And as long as we tackle and put ourselves in positions to get off the field on 3rd down, we feel like we got a shot. Now, they've struggled this year doing it. So far today, I feel like they've improved enough to give themselves a fighting chance.
3rd down and 1. Trojans just 1 for 4 on 3rd down so far today. Vavai Malepeai. Looks like he's got enough.
Talked to the coaching staff at UCLA. Mentioned earlier Chip Kelly's schedule throughout the course of the week. Really a trailblazer in that regard as we take a look at a UCLA player down on the field. Looks like a Darius Pickett.
Yep. The leading tackler. One of 2 senior starters on this defense.
Talked in the beginning about this rivalry and how meaningful it was to him in particular. When he sat down and spoke with him. They've never beat USC. It's his last opportunity to do so. Former 4-star recruit from El Cerrito High School. And look at this as everyone falls backwards onto him. It's a lot of big bodies.
Walks off under his own power. That's Mo Osling, who's behind him in the depth chart. Instead, Stephen Blaylock, wearing 4 in blue, who's yet another freshman, comes in.
20 true freshmen have played for UCLA this year. That's the most by far, and that's a product of a new head coach wanting to bring in guys who fit more what he does, but a lot of departures, a lot of injuries too.
1st and 10 for USC at the 36-yard line. Fake to Malapaya. Deep drop from Daniels. Eyes downfield. The crosser's Vaughn's. Perfect throw and a catch in UCLA territory for 20 yards.
The thing that impresses you the most about this catch is it was contested the whole way. Watch as Vaughn's is going to work his way across the field. And Holmes is there every step of the way. Look at him recover. And right at the end, takes a big old swipe at the football. Where when you're a wide receiver, you get your hands on the football, you tuck it in your body as fast as you can.
Velus Jones, he can fly and can show it off. The Trojans back in front as Velus Jones races 45 yards.
And in a heartbeat, everything can change. So take a look. He's right here, but take a look at Quentin Lake. He sees it the whole way, breaks on it, and Pittman just gets enough to allow a seam, and bye-bye. Well, this is a fun one.
Sure has been good, hasn't it? We're still midway through the second quarter. They go 75 yards in 5 plays, just a little more than 2 minutes. And have the lead again as Velus Jones gets his first receiving touchdown of the year. So many LA kids in this rival. Waits back on this kick from Alex Stadhouse. Fair catch. So the Bruins will start at the 25-yard line. 1988 was a huge sports year around here in Los Angeles. Last Dodger World Championship, and it was also one of the most highly anticipated USC UCLA matchups. A couple Heisman hopefuls, Troy Aikman and Rodney Peete, went head to head. USC got the better of Aikman and the Bruins that day. Peete had 168 yards, also rushed for a touchdown. Undefeated, 2nd-ranked Trojans defeated number 6 UCLA in the game that is now known as the measles game. Peete had missed the whole week of practice with the measles and played anyways.
Isn't that contagious?
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I think it is. Kelly on 1st down, stopped by John Houston. His center. Boys, a rough next week for his center.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not as much shotgun back then. Yeah.
Wilton Speight 7 of 10 through the air so far with a touchdown, also a rushing touchdown. Back-to-back runs to open this drive as Kelly looks for room, can't find it. We've seen him on Marshall deliver some big hits today.
Well, he's a physical cornerback, and that's what the people who are playing on Sundays love about him. Saw a Dallas Cowboys evaluator here before the game, talking shop about how much talent both these teams have. You look at 3rd down, typically been a down again. Caleb Wilson's been their targeted player a lot in the passing game.
One of several tight ends on the field here on 3rd and 4 in the flats. Theo Howard having a nice start to this one, beating Marvell Tell for a 1st down.
And this is about leverage. When you're an offense, you're trying to break the leverage of your defense. And see how Howard gets to the outside as Tell tries to run through the traffic. Once he gets past, he's in open space, and it's an easy pitch and catch for Wilton Speight. Nice play design by Chip Kelly.
Kelly on 1st down. It's a nice gain, and we bring in Bruce Feldman.
Joe, as Brady was talking about Wilton Speight really getting settled down, he told me yesterday he almost actually ended up transferring to LSU, not UCLA. The one time Wolverines offense coordinator Doug Nussmeier was briefly at LSU, and he coached him back when he first got to Ann Arbor, but then Nussmeier went to the Dallas Cowboys, and Speight had a connection here with Jimmy Doherty, another former Michigan coach, as well as Jed Fish. He met Chip Kelly, really liked him, felt a connection, And as he said, this has been a really good business decision. It's been his 5th offensive system in 5 years, and obviously he's playing really well right now.
And him and the Bruins look at a 3rd and short here.
He's going to need to play well on this particular down, too.
And he has so far today.
I love these sorts of formations. They give you all the information you need as a quarterback. You can discern whether it's zone or man just based on the formation.
They'll look to throw on 3rd and 3. Spate will take off and pick up the first down with his legs.
Second time now that we've seen Wilton Spate be opportunistic and taking off and scrambling. Nothing's there downfield, but he feels the open space and knows that he's athletic enough to get there. Boy, he moves so much better than when we saw him last year at Michigan, carrying those 30 extra pounds.
Into USC territory. Here comes Martell Irby on first down. The true freshman out of San Diego runs hard for 4. Now the rushing game for UCLA. It's been one of the worst in the country the last 2 years and was bad early on this season. But as the year has gone on and the offensive line's gotten a little better, they've gotten Joshua Kelly into a bigger role. The running game has really taken off for him.
And it's part because their offensive line had so many moving pieces, musical chairs, if you will.
Stick with it here on 2nd down and nowhere to go. Cam Smith along with Jordanio Cefa stopping Kelly. 3rd down.
This group up front for UCLA now, it's the 7th game where they had the same 5. So I think as they've gotten more continuity, Joshua Kelly's gotten more comfortable and they've been able to play better with that group.
Another 3rd down for the Bruins. Facing pressure. It's picked up, giving Spate time to zip one off of Howard's hands. 4th down.
And he had him wide open, well-designed play. They worked from a stack alignment. Check out right here. He's going to release inside and then run an in route. And he's able to break away from Tell. Theo Howard, the faster player, just too high off the fingertips for Howard.
You don't blame him with the Jane Harris bearing down on him. Flintoff trying to pin him deep. Drops it inside the 5. Well done by Stefan Flintoff. And so USC back on offense with a 24-21 lead. JT Daniels already more than 200 yards.
We talked about it in the open too. Look at his patience. Able to buy time in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and find Amon-Ra St. Brown for the conversion. And then it's his strength. Look at him drive the football to the outside. Some of the tougher throws and his deep ball accuracy, as we talked about in the open. Just dropping dimes everywhere on the field. He's going to have to continue to do it because I don't think these UCLA Bruins are just going to lay down. They're giving him the opportunities too on the outside.
He's hit a couple. He's also thrown in an interception trying to take advantage of one of those one-on-one opportunities. Drive will begin inside the 10-yard line. 1st down and 10. Vavae Malepeai into the teeth of the defense for 3 or 4. A minute 43 and counting. Both teams all 3 timeouts.
It's surprising to start off with a run. UCLA is playing with a decent amount of cushion on the outside, so you can get that 2-minute drive started by taking some easy completions and getting the sticks moving.
Playing it really conservatively here.
Surprised UCLA's not going to use a timeout in hopes that maybe they get a stop and get the ball back with good field position.
Maybe with a solid defensive play here, you see one. St. Brown in motion, straight ahead Malepeai. 3rd and short. And no. Nope.
I think both snaps are like, well, we've had enough for the first half.
A lot has happened, right? It's like, we're good.
It's a bit surprising. Again, with the quick strike ability of this USC offense, you'd figure at least take a chance. Looks like UCLA wants to bring pressure.
On 3rd and 2. Malepeai again, and now Chip Kelly will use a timeout.
Well, with this much time left, the only thing you can really do is now try to attack and rush the punt. Outside of that, hope for maybe a big play for your team for special teams. We've seen it from USC. Maybe one shot.
Time for our Volkswagen winning duos. Sponsored by Volkswagen. Why settle for an SUV when you can have an SUVW? Looking at these two starting quarterbacks.
And they've played well in the first half. I think a rivalry game first for both of these guys. I know Wilton Speight has experienced it before, obviously playing in the big Ohio State-Michigan matchup. But for JT Daniels, growing up in the area, he knows all about it. But to then go out and do it's a different story. As we talked about, he's taken his shots, done a good job. Wilton Speight's done the same.
All right, 21 seconds here. You coming after it, looking for a block, or you going to set up a return?
I would go after it looking for a block. And again, I mean, you can try for a return in this case. Some of the struggles USC's had in special teams this year. Maybe there's an opportunity.
Reed Budrovich. They will come after it. Budrovich gets off a good one. Fair catch from Theo Howard all the way back at the 35. That's a 49-yarder. Coming up at halftime, stay tuned with Mike Hill and Robert Smith for the State Farm halftime show. Utah and Colorado today in the snow in Boulder. Notre Dame got off to a great start against Syracuse. We'll check in on that one. And Ohio State, an unexpected thriller against Maryland.
As we spin things forward, looking to the second half for USC, the question is, can they maintain this momentum? We saw last week getting out to a 14-0 start and then a goose egg in the second half.
Yeah, and it's similarly last week. Encouraging stuff from the offense in the first half, completely shut down in the second half. Speight will throw it. We'll see what they can do with the 2 timeouts here. Caleb Wilson has a first down at the 46-yard line and 8 seconds.
Well, with a timeout and this much time left, you can take a shot. Well, they're going to let the clock run out.
Huh. Speight to the air one more time. Eludes the rusher. Heaving one with Pabico behind the defense. Incomplete, and the half comes to an end. How does that happen if you're USC?
I didn't think they thought Speight would throw that football. He scrambled to the opposite side of the field, but take a look. As Pabico runs a little switch right up the sideline, look at him on Marshall. He's like, there's no way he's going to throw back across the field. You thought Christian Rector got to him. Nearly a disaster.
Well, they dodge a bit of a bullet there and take a 24-21 lead.
Than them. So what's the message you had when you walked out of the locker room? Said, this is a hell of a football game, guys. Let's go win it.
Yeah, they ran for 155 yards, Bruce, during that first half. Most of that Joshua Kelly, already 147. Needs just 14 more yards to match his career high. First play of the second half is a Joshua Kelly run. Bounces off initial contact and gets 4. We look at our Geico first half stats. Pretty balanced, although kind of backwards when you're looking at how they got it done. UCLA mostly on the ground. USC got it done through the air.
Take a look at the stats too and kind of discern. The interesting thing is the turnover margin. See how that plays out through the rest of the game. In particular for USC, with JT Daniels struggling on the road this year, making a number of mistakes. Already 1 interception in this game.
2nd and 6. Kelly again. Had a bit of a seam and hit it hard. Ruben Peters brought him down, but it is very close to a first down.
Well, the issue the USC defense is having with the rushing attack for UCLA is these pulling offensive linemen for UCLA. They're attacking gaps. Joshua Kelly's being patient. He's letting things kind of decide themselves before he accelerates through the hole. A lot of that, that's a lot of those gap schemes.
3rd and short. He's got it again. He's got a first down. He's got a career high. Just a minute plus into this 3rd quarter. Joshua Kelly having a day.
Watch the Polars. They're going to run right into your living room. See the big boys, Michael Alves and Boss Tagaloa, leading the way. And like I said, it's no help if you accelerate in front of them, but he lets all of that kind of display itself before he accelerates through the hole.
We'll get a break after 3 consecutive carries. Martell Irby comes in. True freshman carried it twice in the first half. He's got it here for a short gain, stopped by the nickelback Jonathan Lockett.
And what Chip Kelly does with his offense is they have a core set of plays, running and passing. And they just change the window dressing. That's all they do. They change the personnel in which they run it from, or they motion, or maybe they change the formation they start in order to then accomplish it.
Well, they've got it going. They do it fast.
This is one of those formations, too, I talked about before. You know if it's man or zone based on who's there. That's a cornerback, so you know USC's playing zone coverage.
Wilton Speight pulls it, and the big fella's got a first down.
And the reason why that is significant is in that particular play, you know what the box count is, you know what the defense is doing. Wilton Speight, who's athletic enough, is able to fool Christian Rector to come down on the running back, and there's no one left outside for the quarterback. And Chip Kelly told us, he said, I don't have an offense that's designed for the quarterback to run. It's designed for the quarterback to take advantage if the defense isn't going to account for him.
First down and 10. Bruins on the move to open this second half from the 40-yard line. First pass play of this second half. Speight loads up, heaves one over the top, end zone, picked off. Isaiah Langley, who's blocked a punt today. Langley, only the third this year for USC.
They've had a hard time coming up with some of those plays, and since Porter Gustin's been out, they've had a hard time getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. That wasn't so much the case that last play. Wilton Speight had all the time to sit back and discern where he was going with the football. And much like I said with JT Daniels' interception in the first half, just because you call the shot play, it doesn't mean you have to force it and throw it if it's not there. In that case, easily could have thrown the football away, scrambled, and just checked down the football.
You know, he said that he had also blocked a punt today. It was actually Jack Russell, who wears 80 and 24, that blocked the punt, puts 24 on for special teams. So 24 Jack Russell blocking the punt in the first quarter. 24 Isaiah Langley with the interception here in the third. JT Daniels and the USC offense for the first time in this second half, hoping for a much different story to the second half than last week. They had a great first half, but then in the second half, 40 yards on 31 plays. And of course had that snap from Toa Loben down over Daniels' head that led to the safety. Positive gain to open this second half with Cedric Ware. Stopped by Chris Barnes.
This is a personnel grouping for USC. They call it 12 personnel for one running back, 2 tight ends. That's where you get the 12 from. And USC runs the football 75% from this formation. Now, they'll implement some play action pass as well, but this is where they're most effective, in my opinion, running the football.
Ware had just 15 yards during the first half. He's got about a dozen on the first 2 touches here in the second.
Well, he could be electric, too. I think they've got to find more creative ways of getting him the football, whether it's out in space with a little swing pass or some other ways of just finding a way to get him touches. He's too good of a football player not to.
First down from the 32. First throw of the second half for Daniels. Over the top, Michael Pittman lays out to bring it in. The 6th play today of better than 20 yards for the Trojans. This one 37.
Well, it's Pittman working on Gates. We saw this a lot in the first half, and he absolutely just turns around Elijah Gates. And once you don't have vision on the wide receiver, that space is only going to gain and get worse and worse as Pittman just runs away from Gates. But the biggest key on that play was the throw from Daniels. A lot of times you throw a post route as a quarterback, you have the tendency to throw more upfield instead of across the field. Throwing across the field allows Pittman to make an easier adjustment.
Our scoreboard is making this a very tough first down for USC. First and 56. And it's going to be second down and a mile now. First down run for Malapei. Gain of 14 to the 17.
I think you're seeing right away USC trying to impose their will, trying to bring that physicality. Watch the offensive line up front, and you're going to see Chris Brown pull around to the right side. He kind of kicks out the edge to create a lane. It's the physical running after that.
A first down, Malapei again. Stuck the pads down, got 3.
This portion of the field, USC has really struggled this year, and really in particular, JT Daniels. They haven't run the football very effective, but he's got the lowest completion percentage in the Pac-12 this portion of the field. It's not all on him. Sometimes he's taking chances and throwing it up to his wide receivers, and they haven't made plays. With as much as UCLA is stacking the box to stop the run, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't take a shot either here or on third down.
Second down, 7. Daniels out of a clean pocket, lofting out of bounds. Vaughn's, the receiver, fell down. Was some contact, but that ball uncatchable.
And that's part of the issue, is like things just haven't worked out. The ball hasn't bounced their way, and you got a guy who falls down who's part of the progression. I mean, that's just been the story of their season in the red zone. But I think it's most difficult for young quarterbacks because of the timing. Everything is sped up in the red zone because it's that condensed portion of the field. So you've got to be pinpoint accurate, and you've got to make sure you're in the right spot with your eyes and when you're making that throw.
Adding to the difficulty, third down and 7. First drive of the second half for the Trojans. Looking short side through his progressions on the out. St. Brown gets a first down. Amon-Ra St. Brown with a gain of 8, first and goal for USC.
So UCLA runs what's called a triangle. So you've got 3 defenders. There's going to be one here, and one here. When you run a guy outside, it creates this open space then for St. Brown. That's how you beat it when you've got 3 defenders versus only 2 wide receivers. Well-designed play by Clay Helton and company.
And they needed to fight his way for that first down yardage, but he is strong and was able to do it. He'll come out on first and goal.
What an athletic family that is. Holy cow.
A few big-time football players. Dad, former Mr. Universe. Oh, a snap to Velus Jones. Then a flag flies. That was messed up from the start. Not entirely sure Jones is supposed to get that snap. Let's see what Kevin Marr says.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, it looked like almost half the offense would have gotten a false start for that. Just seemed out of sync, and that's the hard part with having a direct snap, especially when the guy who's receiving it's in motion like Velus Jones was. He was definitely the intended guy.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, it's a design run for him.
Right, but I mean to catch the snap?
Yeah.
Moves him back to the 10. Malapei. Short gain, second and goal.
Going back to the issue, I mean, that's just been the story of the season for USC down here. It's just, there's one thing here or there that's off, and you got to have all 11 players working in unison to make it go.
Toa Lobendown, of course, taking a lot of heat. Many poor snaps for him throughout the year, and especially meaningful one that led to the safety last week. Clay Helton sticking by his senior captain, who has played all over the offensive line in his career. Second and goal. Stick with the ground. Malapei is inside the 5, and Adarius Pickett finished him off to make it third down.
Decision-making time now for USC as far as what kind of play you want to go with. You've been running the football effectively to this point. You just ran an overload formation. They had all of the eligible receivers on one side of the field, and it looks like UCLA's going to try to match up here and bring their big personnel on the field. That includes Antonio Mafi, 360, 80-pound, whatever he is at this point.
He's big.
Look, I think at this point you got to take a shot to Pittman. He's one-on-one. He's been your playmaker for you.
Against the freshman in Gates, he runs across the back of the end zone. Daniels has to throw it out of bounds, and UCLA is likely forced a field goal attempt.
And this is good coverage by UCLA, but don't like the play call. You don't need to make it that complicated. You see the boot from the left coming to the right, and there everyone's kind of sitting waiting for it. And I think your best chance when you're that close down around the goal line is just take a shot. Allow Pittman to work one-on-one with his size and throw it up one of those 50-50 balls he's been so successful at getting.
Yeah, it's a 6-inch
up against UCLA's defense, but I mean, not so much the other way around, but with the past couple weeks, the way this offense has gotten together for the Bruins versus Cal earlier this year had about 30. I would imagine that UCLA is going to continue to feed that man the football.
Heavy dose of run on that first drive of the second half until the first pass play, which was an interception. They start this drive with a run as well. And Kelly nowhere to go. Stopped by Marlon Tuipulotu.
Saw linebacker Ruben Peters too, kind of firing through and getting Joshua Kelly to change course. UCLA is going to have to start attacking the edges of this USC defense. Starting to figure some things out in the interior running game.
Stick with a run. Kelly slips his way for a first down.
Well, their center, Boss Tagaloa, he's continued to have a big game. Pulling and leading the way for Joshua Kelly. You see Michael Alves in there as well. I've been so impressed with Boss Tagaloa, the junior out of Pittsburgh, California, converted defensive lineman to center. Doing fantastic.
Spade to throw to the sideline out in front of Caleb Wilson, who was defended by Langley, and Langley might get called for pass interference.
Was with Wilson stride for stride. The issue was a little too touchy.
Pass interference. Defense number
Never
24.
looked back for the football.
15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And typically this is a matchup you wouldn't want to work on. Having your tight end working on a cornerback, but if the hands early on, that's fine. Once he starts grabbing there and never makes a play for the football, it inhibits Caleb Wilson's ability to be able to make a play for it. Prohibits, excuse me. You look at this offense, though, with Will and Spade starting to get into a rhythm.
Into USC territory, facing pressure, lets it go off of the hands of Devin Asiasi. 2nd and 10.
Tom just talked about that rhythm, that momentum. What does Clancy Pendergast do to disrupt that? He brings edge pressure. Bring Jonathan Lockett, their nickel back, off of the edge. Spate didn't see him. Ended up taking a shot.
He's taken a bunch of shots today.
And that's by design. I think Clancy Pendergast likes to test the toughness of a lot of the opposing quarterbacks that they take on.
As spread out as we've seen him this afternoon, but that includes the tight end and Asiasi. Motions back into the formation. Leading the way for Kelly, tries to bounce to the outside, steps out of the ankle tackle, stiff arms his way to the 40 and sets up 3rd and short.
And what vision by Kelly. He should be fired up. There was nothing there on the front side of that, and he just felt all this open green grass and space on the right. Changed course on breaking a couple tackles. Almost mishandling the football because he wanted to get back to the backside of that run.
He's at 187 yards. He's the lone back on 3rd and 2. Here he comes. And he's going to lose a few as he's slammed down. Liam Jimmins makes it 4th down.
Credit Jimmins and the rest of this USC defense for adjusting. They've seen that play probably 10 times today. If you had a thought of maybe UCLA getting into plus territory, wanting to take a shot on 4th down, forget about that. Chip Kelly wants to try to pin these Trojans back deep and rely on his defense to maybe get a stop.
Rely on his punter, Stefan Flintoff, who pinned him inside the 10 earlier, although he's also had one block today. Looking for the corner here. Not quite as deeply pinned, but it is down to the 12. And USC back on offense when you come back.
Be a preview of the Super Bowl this year? Have to wait and see.
From the 13-yard line, Trojans got a field goal on their first drive of this half. Start this drive with Vavae Malepeai and a gain of 4.
It's that portion of the game where if you're USC, you want to put together a nice, long, sustained drive, balanced attack, running the football, taking some shots. If you want to start to distance yourself, though, this is the drive to do it, garner some of this momentum.
Already more rushing yards in the second half than they had in the first half. Daniels steps into this throw, shows off the arm strength as he hits Pittman for a first down to the 29.
During this last 4-game stretch, look at the fact that USC was 3-4 over that portion, and Jack Sears got a start. Looked all right in the start. You know, there's some speculation. Maybe would you give him an opportunity to create a spark on your team right now? But I think that throw right there kind of embodies why JT Daniels is the starter. He's got as much arm talent as anyone in this country, in particular for a true freshman.
National High School Player of the Year as a junior last year at Mater Dei, 15-0, and there's a snap before anybody was ready for it. That will bring a flag.
Snap infraction. Offense number 50. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Toa Lobendon.
And he's had issues snapping the football. They've gone to, watch his right hand. It's on the football right now. They've gone to somewhat of a more dead pitch, or excuse me, snap, because they've had issues with him getting it back accurately to JT Daniels. That one actually hit his butt, but snap infraction nonetheless.
So makes it 1st and 15. Amon-Ra St. Brown steps out of the first attempt and gets close to a first down, bumped out by Pickett, but he's got it off on a gain of 15.
This is just a way of getting your wide receiver an easy touch. A wide receiver screen. You got the left side of your offensive line pulling out and leading the way in Austin Jackson and Chris Brown. Going into a game plan, you look at a guy like St. Brown, how dynamic he is. Those are the ones you check off the box and trying to get called just so you get the ball in his hands.
4 catches for him today, including a touchdown. That'll pay eye straight ahead, and we go straight down to Bruce.
Joe, Clay Helton and JT Daniels have quite the connection. The first time Helton actually saw Daniels was way back when the quarterback was in the 7th grade. It was a 7-on-7 camp at USC, and Daniels led a bunch of 9th graders to the championship. Helton said he remembers he was just a scrawny kid with a good arm, but he was really confident back then. He said he was like a 7th grader going on 20. By the way, the other quarterback that he called out at the end of the day was JT Daniels and a kid named Sam Darnold.
Wow. Daniels, of course, is taken over for on 2nd and 6. That one was hit at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. Tried to throw to slant to Vaughns. 3rd and 6.
It didn't look like there was going to be much of an opportunity for that pass anyway. Maybe would have been better off batted down because of the way Darnay Holmes was covering Vaughns. Michael Pittman's somewhat of the go-to guy today. 6 catches for 95 yards. He's been isolated a lot one-on-one versus Elijah Gates.
Part of the 3 receivers sent to the near side here. Daniels against a 4-man rush. Has time. Lets it fly. There's Pittman again for a first down into UCLA territory.
And this is JT Daniels working through his progression. He's going to start on the right, and it's going to be Pittman coming in, running the in route across the field, and Daniels eventually finds just the hole in the coverage. Good progression, good patience, but ultimately good protection.
Yeah, you have that much time.
And that's really been the story of the season for this UCLA defense. They just have not been able to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They have 14 sacks in the year coming into this game.
Another mistimed snap.
And JT Daniels is talking to the officials because I think he believes that maybe they're barking out some calls.
False start. Offense number 50. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Let's listen and see if we can hear any of that.
It'd be tough to tell from right there, but you can tell JT Daniels right away is pointing at the defense, and having this happen twice in the same drive, there's something else going on there.
Gamesmanship between USC and UCLA. Now, Metalpea has a hole and a first down. Getting all that penalty yardage back and running for 22.
This is just Malapei cutting through the C gap of the defense. I mean, the offensive line, that right side paving the way. See Voorhees in there, McKenzie as well. Actually, Vera Tucker now has come in for Andrew Voorhees. redshirt freshman. And they like to rotate those guys. Talked to Clay Helton, said, we've got some younger, inexperienced guys. We'd like to get some experience, so we're not going to lose so many offensive linemen like our left guard, center, and right tackle.
This third quarter has flown by. Here's a snap to Daniels. It goes off the right side, loses a yard.
That looked like a broken play.
Yeah.
It didn't look like JT Daniels was ready for that. And I can't imagine, just from watching this year, that they don't run any design quarterback runs beside a quarterback sneak.
Right. So it's another play where it looks like the snap came before anybody was ready for it, and again leads you to wonder what's happening.
And look, they've committed to Toa Lobendon playing center for them. It was a former tackle. He's made the adjustment because they felt like he could handle it. And the toughest part for him has been the snaps and just handling everything that goes with processing as a center. It's a tough position to play.
They are going to have to snap it here before the third quarter ends. The area of holding.
It's going to be on Lucere South. This one is pretty definitive.
On him as in hold on him.
On him.
Yeah.
I believe it is Jalen McKenzie, the redshirt freshman.
Offense number 54, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
They accept the penalty to bump him out of field goal range. He'll play third down again.
And right here, and you can see him working on the edge against the junior out of Santa Ana, California, and clearly he gets beat with that right hand too at the end, grabs on to Lucere South. Hoping he's not going to get caught.
Third down, 21.
And the key here is just getting enough so you can put yourself again in field goal range. Probably not going to get all 21 back. There should be a soft spot in the middle of the field.
The long for Michael Brown is 46. They need to get to the 29 for that. They hand it off to Malapei, and he barely gets anything. Strung out and dropped by Chris Barnes.
And I absolutely hate that play call. You know, you've got a quarterback in JT Daniels, I think, has proven to you that he can take care of the football and he can make those throws. So you should be able to trust him to throw a 10-yard completion, at least give yourself a shot at a field goal.
And even if it goes really poorly, you don't have a whole lot to lose.
No. But running the football there, you really don't give yourself a chance.
No, nothing to gain by that. So punt coming from Reed Budrovich. Well done. Budrovich, perfect. Down inside. Joshua Kelly putting together a career game. He'll take the fake on first down. Spade out of his own end zone. Gets rid of it, incomplete. Worry about a couple things there. Obviously him getting sacked, but also a hold, which would be a safety.
And if you're going to throw the football, those are the two ways you want to do it. Little quick play action, try to get someone fast to the flat so you get the ball out of your quarterback's hand. But credit the USC defense. A good job covering out on the edges. They knew the tendency. And Spate fortunately was able to throw this football away before taking a safety.
Now the Bruins in that first half, 269 yards of offense, have managed just 54 since the break. Nearly a collision in the backfield. And then they hand it off to Kelly. Isaiah Langley with the tackle and third down.
Well, the cornerbacks for USC have been busy today tackling. Amon Marshall was at one point leading the team in tackles. Isaiah Langley's been heavily involved too. It's really been the rushing attack, getting to the outside, forcing those guys to make plays. They've stepped up to the challenge.
Clay Helton elected to play the field position game, punting it, really playing for the punt on third down, and one play away from it looking like a good decision. 3rd and 7. Trojans show pressure, then back off. Spate lets it go for a first down to Howard. Settling in for a gain of 10 against Amon Marshall.
I mean, what protection, what a play design. It felt like Spade had all day. And check out Theo Howard. This whole thing is going to open up for him to essentially just curl right into the soft spot of the zone coverage.
That is a big first down for UCLA.
It changes the field position, and even if they end up punting, I mean, look at Flintoff, how good he's been this year. He's got a 70-yard punt in his repertoire.
Top 10 in the country.
So you're giving him some room, and then really you're almost flipping the field position. If not, maybe driving on further.
They do it on Spade's first completion of this half. Then quickly back to the ground with Kelly. 7 more for the redshirt junior, who was so excited to play in this rivalry game. We came into it talking about the records not being what either side wanted, but it's still being meaningful to so many people. Joshua Kelly grew up in Lancaster, California as a diehard Bruins fan. And watching it as a redshirt last year killed him to not be able to suit up and play. Getting his chance and taking advantage with 196 yards. On 2nd and 2, he's got it again. He's got a first down and crosses 200 yards.
Look at Joshua Kelly, and you talk about his story. He said, you know, he felt like he had to prove himself when he transferred from Cal Davis, and then I had to do it all over again. So there's a lot of stress that came along with, you know, having to put himself out there, even though he couldn't play last year, working hard, practicing hard, feeling like he was in a good spot with Jim Moore's staff. And all of a sudden, once those guys end up going, he said, oh man, I've got to do it all over again. But he's been up to the challenge.
And it took him a few weeks. He didn't even play week 3. Takes the fake here and open in the flats. Demetric Felton, first catch of the day, crosses the 40 with another Bruin first down.
How smooth was that? Just the adjustment to it. When we saw this exact same play back on the goal line, where Spate was pressured, had to throw incomplete. This time, there's no one on the outside. You can see Isaiah Langley, number 24. He's the cornerback typically responsible to keep containing outside in that coverage.
Really, for UCLA this year, it's been Theo Howard and then everybody else at receiver. Felton with a reception there, his first of the day. He's the motion man here on first down from the 45. Kelly off the left side has a hole and explodes. Joshua Kelly, a day to remember on the biggest stage at UCLA. The game is tied with 10:39 to go and an extra point coming up.
Let's go back and see why this play worked and why it was so effective. So for starters, you're going to see motion across. That's going to take Isaiah Langley out of it. And then you've got 3-on-3. And the offensive line for UCLA does the rest. Look at that. There's a seam, and no one else is there to stop Joshua Kelly and this UCLA Bruin offense. Now all of a sudden the decision to punt doesn't look so good.
And the Bruins are back in front. They've been playing this rivalry since 1929. Joshua Kelly today has run for more yards than any Bruin ever has against USC.
And the big runs have come on that experienced left side of the offensive line. Andre James, Michael Alves, their left tackle and left guard respectively. These guys who each have over 20 some career starts. James has over 30, but it's been those guys. A lot of the big runs for Joshua Kelly today has been on the left side.
Bayless Jones back to return this kickoff. Time for a game break. Greg Wolf.
Joe, thanks. Number 4, Michigan. It has been a battle all afternoon long with Indiana. Wolverines capitalized first series of the second half. Karan Higdon 2-yard score, 6th lead change of the game. Michigan leads 22-17, third quarter over on FS1. Joe, Brady, back to you.
Good one there. Good one here. 28-27, 10:39 to go, and JT Daniels and the Trojans back on offense. The true freshman to throw it on first down. Slides in the pocket. Throws it downfield. A disastrous heave from Daniels. An interception from Darnay Holmes.
And this is about as bad as it gets in regards to decision making. He was trying to look for Amon-Ra St. Brown coming across the field. Both Bonds and Pittman were clearing it out. You can see number 8 working in the screen. But I'm not sure where he thought St. Brown was going to go. If anything, this ball should be thrown away. Good protection. Yeah, there at the end, he felt affected by it, but just no idea why you don't throw that football into the stands.
And then the Pasadena native, Darnay Holmes, picked it off. Does UCLA look for the sudden change shot play here?
I'd imagine a heavy dose of Joshua Kelly.
That's been a shot play much of the day today. And if it ain't broke, well, they fake it to him. Spate. It's popped after 5 by J.N.A. Harris.
I had a quarterback coach tell me one time in that zone read, because I was in a system in the NFL that did this. They said, hey, if you don't run a 4.5 40, if you're not that fast, just go ahead and hand that football off, unless it looks like the party of the Red Sea.
And so Brady went to the track every day trying to get that 40 time down to 4.5 so he could pull it.
No, I just handed the football off.
2nd and 5.
It's a little bit eerie seeing the Chip Kelly offense run at this sort of pace, you know.
From midfield. Steps into pressure. Tight window. Delivers a strike. It's a first down to Caleb Wilson.
Caleb Wilson was running a corner route, and there's nowhere else you can put this football. It's in between Isaiah Langley as well as the safety, but this is a perfect spot as J.N.A. Harris tries to get a hit in on the end, but too good of a throw, too good of a catch.
From the 35 with a 1st and 10. They roll Spig quickly out of his hand. Pabico close to a first down. We go down to Bruce.
Joe, when Brady was talking about a lot of the window dressing Chip Kelly likes to do on this offense with the motion and the shifts, Clancy Pendergast, the USC defensive coordinator, brought the grease board over to all his guys on the defense and said, look, this is the stuff that is getting us. They are not aligned. They are not dealing with the outside run, and it's been frustrating because it's been the same mistakes really all game.
Well, it's hard when he puts these backers up in the line of scrimmage like that, right over the center. You know, you kind of leave yourself vulnerable in that case. I mean, typically you see that more on passing downs.
Marvell Tell up from his safety spot to drop Kelly here.
But that's more of that NFL style where they call it mugging up those linebackers in the line of scrimmage. And the reason you do it is it impacts the protection of the offense. It forces the offensive lineman to discern if those guys are blitzing or not. So that's why you see it more on passing downs than running downs. I think it's been effective for UCLA running against that look.
It's a good timeout coming up here.
Timeout. UCLA. Their first of the half.
First one for either side in the second half. And 10 out of the timeout.
Remember what head coach Clay Helton told us? That the one thing that USC defense needed to do? Stop Joshua Kelly. That was the only thing he said. If we can stop them, we feel pretty good about our chances. It's been a tough day.
2:56 for him. He's got it again here. Crosses the 20. One of the advantages of the timeout was Kelly got to come back in. He had checked out momentarily. And on his 34th carry today, he now has 262 yards.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't continue to give him the football here, because, you know, a field goal makes this more of a must-have touchdown for USC off this. So you could be a little bit more conservative with your play call. Even though I have to admit, Spate has been a pretty good decision maker on 3rd down this year.
This is 3rd and 5, and against a 4-man rush, they will put it in Spate's hands. That is incomplete, but a flag on Ruben Peters. Could not stop Joshua Kelly without holding on. Yeah, this is going to be a drive extender.
Yeah, it looked like Peters clearly was grabbing Joshua Kelly.
Prior to the pass, holding. Defense number 47. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Let's try this. This is a little better.
Yeah, I like that tool better.
Look at Peters. He's got his arms wrapped around Joshua Kelly, and there was a lot of contact before that. Doesn't look so egregious there at the end, but it was more at the very top of the route, right when we started the replay, where he really grabbed on to Kelly.
And so 1st and goal. Straight ahead, Kelly. Marvell Tell fought through a block and dropped him. 2nd and goal. To continue to feed Joshua Kelly. Transferred from UC Davis, wanted the challenge of going to an FBS program. The transfer waiver limited him just to 2 in-state schools. These 2 schools. He knew he was going to be a walk-on, didn't want to pay out-of-state tuition, so limited to these 2 schools and chose the Bruins. Biggest performance of his career today. He's got it again on 2nd down. He's inside the 5 and it's 3rd and goal.
It's really been incredible to watch this UCLA offensive line continue to grow and get better and better and better. And the chemistry between Joshua Kelly and his ability to see the hole, understand where the polars are going, where the hole's going to open up for him. It really has been something to watch.
On 3rd down and goal. Play action. Spate to the end zone. Incomplete. Wanted Asiasi. Defended by Marshall. And it's 4th down and goal.
Iman Marshall was not fooled at all, and he's had himself quite the game. Watch this fake. Look at this. From the back hip. Everyone's looking for the football. Cam Smith doesn't know where it's at. Well, one man was not fooled, and that's Iman Marshall. Really nowhere to throw the football because of Biggie Marshall.
So J.J. Molson tries to extend the lead to 4. Not an easy angle here. $19-yarder. He's got it. So the Bruins settle for the field goal. Lead at 31 after halftime.
They haven't had a touchdown the past 2 weeks in the second half. And, you know, it's not. It feels like it's not really a road game for USC, considering where this is being played. But I just go back to the comment I made earlier in the game. USC is 1-4 when JT Daniels has thrown an interception this season. He's thrown 2 so far today. And so far, we've seen 14 points off of those interceptions. Excuse me, 10. They just got a field goal now.
Well, your point's well taken. UCLA's taken advantage of those mistakes. 2 mistake-riddled teams throughout the season. So far today, USC's just made a few more. First return we've seen. Velus Jones doesn't even reach the 15-yard line. And so as 6:16 left, JT Daniels and the Trojans come back out. And this drive about more, you figure, than just JT Daniels and his legacy in this season for USC. You wonder what a loss in this game would mean for Clay Helton, with USC sitting at 5-5, their worst record at this point since 2001, needing a win either today or against Notre Dame next week, even to become bowl eligible. From the 12-yard line on 1st down, Vavai Malapaya. Not much.
But you can't get away from the run game. You know, there's still 6 minutes left. You don't feel forced to throw out a portion of your playbook just because you're down. You need a touchdown to get back ahead. You talked about the pressure on Clay Helton. You wonder if that's impacting his play call, his thought process down the stretch, if he feels even more of that pressure, or for quarterback JT Daniels.
2nd and 7. Daniels steps up, wants Pittman, incomplete. Coverage from Quentin Lake. 3rd and 7.
And the difference between that incompletion and a deeper completion we saw earlier was what I said. Sometimes quarterbacks struggle. They throw this ball upfield instead of throwing it across and allowing Pittman to run to it. In this case, he has to adjust. Too tough to adjust to at that point. 3rd down, backed up, looking for someone to make a play. You just always get the sense it's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
On 3rd and 7. Well protected. He will check it down. Malapaya gets swung down by Chris Barnes. It's a 3 and out for USC.
What a stop by the Bruin defense. JT Daniels decides not to force anything. He goes to his check down, hoping Malapaya can find a way of picking this up. But there he is, Chris Barnes, with a big-time tackle out in space.
Buttervich to punt out of his own end zone. Howard watches this one bounce out of bounds near midfield. Now we take a look at our Ford unstoppable player. It is an easy choice today. Joshua Kelly with 267 yards.
And running to the left. We talked about how effective they've been, in particular on the big runs for Joshua Kelly. You saw the pulling offensive linemen. Those are their gap schemes. They've also utilized him in the zone scheme as well, as we saw on the long touchdown run. He's been phenomenal today. He's our hardest working player. He's our unstoppable player. He's been everything.
267, the most ever for a Bruin running back against USC. The most in any game against any team is 322. Maurice Jones-Drew did that at Washington in 2004. You know that he's going to get a heavy dose of it down the stretch. First to touch it on this drive. Makes a move in space and has a first down into Trojan territory. 15 more for Joshua Kelly.
Look at the right side. Watch everyone just wash everything down, and then you're going to see Joshua Kelly press and get to the outside. That's what's been so effective. And then the wide receivers get involved, and he pins Marvell Tell to put him out on a cornerback. It's crazy, again, just watching this UCLA offense operate so much slower than what we remember from Chip Kelly at Oregon and Philly, but right now just dominating the time of possession as well in this game.
On that play clock way down, Kelly again. Josefa was waiting for him this time, and it's second down. USC 3 timeouts.
You got to start thinking about using them at some point on this drive. Probably not right here, but depending on what happens after this play, I would contemplate using one, anticipating maybe that they're going to throw the football on third down.
Run it down near 3.5 minutes before they snap it here. Second down and 10 at the USC 37-yard line. UCLA trying to beat their rival for the first time in 4 years. Trying to do it on the back of Joshua Kelly. Stop and start. It's 4 or 5. Isaiah Langley brings him down, and here is third down.
I don't know that we've had a game this year where we see this many tackles by cornerbacks. But again, that's a product of the wide receivers blocking the safeties and forcing those guys to step up and make plays. Look at USC not electing to take a timeout yet. The question is if you feel like you're in field goal range for J.J. Molson.
Got a big leg. He's hit from 50, and that's what it would be right here.
Yeah, I think Chip Kelly told us maybe 52 he'd feel comfortable with, but past that point.
On 3rd and 5, back to Kelly. He gets maybe one. Jacob Lichtenstein stops him. And there is the first USC timeout with 2:41 left to go. From here, it'd be a 48-yarder.
It's set up almost dead down the middle. You got to like your chances from that standpoint with that big leg for J.J. Molson. I see something in the notes. He's an 8th-generation descendant of John Molson, the original founder of Molson Canadian.
You did read that right. From Montreal. Started the season 9 for 10. And he hit today, but was 1 for his previous 4 coming into this one.
And obviously the biggest point here is you hit, you make it a 7-point margin, so you're forcing USC in a must situation just to at least tie, and then we could talk about the decision if you want to go for 2 and try to win it.
48-yarder straight on. Had Lynch to hold it. Johnny then Blaker to snap it. J.J. Molson with plenty to spare. Chip Kelly and the Bruins can breathe a little bit. Getting some protection for that lead. A 7-point game with 2:36.
Good snap. Good hold. Onions. That's a clutch kick. A big-time kick. And now the pressure turns to the defense. And JT Daniels.
And Clay Helton, as we talked about before the previous possession. Really the same conversation coming into this one. Is he coaching for his job today? He said all week he didn't think so. Steadfast. He said his jaw is set, that he plans to be here a long time. Wanted his players to know that. As Bruce told us off of the top, addressed that in a team meeting at the start of the week. But if USC falls to 5-6 with a loss to a 2-8 UCLA team, that is going to turn it up another notch as far as the heat on Clay Helton.
It's just a rivalry game, too. Those are the things that really spur action. I remember growing up in Columbus, Ohio. John Cooper couldn't beat that team up north in Michigan. That ultimately ended up spurring his departure.
Ask Jim Mora. Lost a third consecutive game to USC last year and was fired right after that. Ellis Jones hurtling to the 27. 2.5 minutes to go, and JT Daniels, who was really good early on, a couple of interceptions as the game has progressed.
Yeah, I think he's had to be creative at times, but he's taken advantage of some of the one-on-one matchups and opportunities. But then he got a little greedy. And he started to try to force some things downfield when it really wasn't there. It's been a little bit more quiet for this USC offense. Last decision, that interception, just unforgivable. There's really no explanation for that.
So here we go from the 28-yard line. Daniels hits Malapaya, who's got room to take it near midfield. Just a simple check down, and it turns into a gain of 24.
If UCLA is going to play that soft of coverage, you take that throw every day of the week and twice on Saturdays.
Already in Bruin territory. Daniels again underneath, and he does take it twice on Saturday, getting 5 or 6 this time with Langi Toialoa pushing him out.
Well, and the key here is UCLA, they can't get any pressure just rushing forward. They're going to have to bring pressure if they want to take away that option for JT Daniels. So they've got to bring someone off the slot. The problem with that is then it leaves you potentially in a one-on-one scenario on the outside versus this talented group of wide receivers at USC.
Here comes the pressure. Daniels trying to beat it. Good open field tackle from the senior Adarius Pickett to stop St. Brown a yard short. Timeout taken by USC. They have 1 left. And with 1:37 to go, it'll be 3rd and 1.
Plenty of time left, though. Plus territory. I know you need a touchdown, but clock stops after a gained first down. And obviously, you've got 2 downs to get it in this scenario, but just wonder how much more pressure Jerry Azanero is going to bring. We saw in that last snap. They're going to have to continue to mix that in. I think JT Daniels is too good to be able to pick you apart if you're going to allow him time in the pocket to sit there. This is the stuff, though, that legends are made of. Rivalry games, you're down. You got to figure out a way of bringing your team back. It's going to be on his shoulders the rest of the way.
Quietly's put together a career high 330 yards. Here he needs just 1. He keeps it. He's got a first down. By just a little bit, because you get spotted where you start the slide. It is enough. First down and 10 with 1:30.
It's an opportunity where you want to have 2 plays called if you can, so that way you don't waste time right now, which is oh so precious. I don't know if they're going to look at the spot.
The previous plays under further review. The ruling on the field was a first down.
It's going to be based on where he starts his slide. At that point in time, he's declaring himself down, and he's defenseless. It's obviously a mechanism that's been put in place for safety of players. Let's take another look.
It's close.
I think he's got it.
Yeah.
Now, so you want to take another look just to confirm. Good job by Quentin Lake pulling up there. We've seen some disastrous scenarios in college football this year. Players not being able to control themselves. Is there anything that we saw in that would make you think it's not a first down? I mean, again, it has to be definitive based on replay, and spots are so hard to overturn.
Yeah, it's when he begins the slide.
Right there.
Yeah,
I mean, even at that point, the ball looks like it's at the mark to gain.
The hard thing is, so often we see replays like this and we say, yeah, there may be something there, but is it definitive? And especially on these little spots, you know, an inch here, an inch there. Rarely do you ever see a spot overturned. Now, this is a little unique because this is that specific rule. Now, when you go into a feed first slide, the ball gets spotted where you begin the slide.
And I always felt playing, I always wanted to dive head first, so I was reassured that I got where I needed to. But also, I never really felt overly protected when I did slide because the entire upper half of my body is exposed. And as I pointed out, Quentin Lake did a good job pulling off at JT Daniels. But sometimes you see guys by accident end up hitting, you know, the head and neck area of a player. So I never even felt that protected by sliding. I always rather dive forward.
Here you go.
After further review, the ball carrier was down at the 39-yard line. Therefore, it's 4th down and 1.
So they see enough on the replay review. The JT Daniels slide began just before the marker. So 4th down and a few inches. The game on the line. Perhaps the state of the program in the coming years on the line. Clay Helton and the Trojans will go on 4th and 1. Out of the gun. Malapei. Looks like he finishes with enough, going through the arms of Chris Barnes to convert.
And now the concern really is the time running off the clock, because you decided to run the football for it. The clock's going to stop, but then it's going to restart once the chains are set.
1 minute left to go. First down from the 36. They bring pressure. Daniels trying to beat it into the end zone. Incomplete. Wanted Velus Jones, defended by Darius Pickett. 2nd and 10. 50 seconds.
It's going to be one-on-one across the board, and this time they go for Velus Jones, probably the fastest guy on the team for USC, but good coverage by Pickett. And look, if I'm in this situation, the guys that's been most fruitful going to is Michael Pittman. You got him back healthy. He's been productive working against Elijah Gates. He's one-on-one at the bottom of your screen.
Has a 6-inch advantage on Gates. Daniels in trouble. Flushed out of the pocket. Throws on the move, incomplete. 3rd down.
But that's okay. That's a good decision by JT Daniels. You can't afford to take a sack, and the incompletion obviously stops the clock. Gives you a second to catch your breath. You got 2 downs to pick up a first down or try to get a touchdown. Looks like they're going to play some sort of form of 2-man, which means JT Daniels, if he can run and take off, he can pick up some additional yards.
On 3rd and 10. Daniels throws outside. It's caught by St. Brown. Promptly tackled by Toyaloa. 4th down. Final timeout used by USC to both stop the clock and discuss this 4th down call.
So I mentioned 2-man, meaning all the eligible receivers are in man coverage, and you got 2 deep safeties back for UCLA. The only guy who's not accounted for is JT Daniels in that case. So typically, if it's there for you, you can take off and pick up additional yards. It's going to be a long time before someone can come up and make a play on you. But in this scenario, it'll be interesting to see what Jerry Azzinaro does. He typically likes to bring pressure in gotta-have-it situations. That's what this is for USC in 4th and 4.
And so what do you like if you're Clay Helton as a play call for the Trojans?
Well, you're going to have your pick based on the matchups that you want, because if they do bring pressure, UCLA will be in one-on-one coverage. As I mentioned before, Pittman's been a guy He's been productive today. You've got him back. He's got the size advantage. And if Elijah Gates is going to give him as much cushion as he has, why not take the opportunity? Because if you throw up a 50-50 ball to him, he can go up, and whether he makes a play or not, maybe there's a potential for pass interference too.
Fourth down and 4. Daniels throws incomplete. Wanted St. Brown. It falls incomplete. And with 32 seconds remaining, the Bruins on the verge of the biggest win under Chip Kelly.
JT Daniels trying to go to the wide receiver he knows best, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's going to be in double coverage. And you can see Chris Barnes breaking underneath. And there's really not much of a window to throw that football, as Nate Metters was to the outside as well. A huge stop for Chip Kelly and the UCLA defense.
One clean snap, one knee, and that will do it. Chip Kelly in his first game against USC as the head coach of the Bruins has led the Bruins to their first win over their rival in 4 years. And what do the coming days and weeks have in store for Clay Helton and this USC program?
If there was ever a question or ever a doubt about Chip Kelly and what he's building here at UCLA, they're headed in the right direction.